I'm Leica.
And I'm T.
And this is
Conscious Conversations.
So we're going to pick from the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Let's shake it up good.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it. Whoa.
What are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? I see rainbows. Mental health.
Woo! Okay.
Ooh, this is good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that.
Where do we start?
Well, we can talk about our personal experience.
It's a heavy one.
Yeah. Now it's lighter because, we've done the work.
Right.
And so there's medicine in the dark mental health stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. So, started off as a child. No, just kidding. I'm not going to go that far. But of course, with mental health, it always starts with the child experiences. Sometimes it's even before we were even born, but that's a different story. I'm just glad to be here because, I am a suicide attempt survivor. So, yeah. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, there's so many things we can talk about with mental health, but personally, I'm just glad that I came out of that, and I had to become the hero. I had to become my own hero because a lot of times we reach out to people, to help us, and sometimes you're the only one you have, and that's the hardest part for us to accept sometimes, and just coming into that part of becoming the hero is the best experience ever.
The hero's journey.
The hero's journey. And I actually read that after I got out the mental hospital. And wow. Yeah. I'm having flashbacks of, what I'm saying, becoming that person when you in the fire and then you rise from the fire.
The phoenix.
The phoenix. Oh my God. Woo! And just the energy frequencies and vibrations. I want to say it saved my life. Yeah. So that's everything in a nutshell. For me.
Yeah.
You can absolutely ask questions, or if y'all ever have questions, feel free to ask me. I'm an open book about mental health because, well, for one, I am a holistic mental health advocate. And that, me saving my own life, per se, is the reason why I am a mental health advocate now, a holistic mental health advocate. Because, I went through the medicine and therapy and stuff like that, and it served its purpose when it did. So I'm not going to knock anything, but, the best medicine was thinking in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, and actually working through those things. And of course, therapy, different things like that, changing my eating habits. That helped a lot too. Yeah. Changing my environment as well, and also doing the work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying? Like we're used to instant gratification, but when it comes to inner healing, like you can't just push a button on a microwave and wait a few minutes and we're healed. We have to go, we have to go through some things and see things, and it's not always ugly. It feels ugly. It feels like death, but on the other side of death is life.
Yeah, it's catalytic.
Yeah, very much so.
Refinement. Yeah, and I feel like those that have gone through it, because we've gone through it, and I've attempted suicide as well, 3 times.
Glad to have you.
But we are able then to hold space for those that hurt or those that are in pain. That's a hard lesson I had to learn for those that haven't necessarily been through struggles. They can't hold the space for others as well. I've learned, I've seen it, I've experienced it firsthand. So I think that, it was part of making us who we are and giving us these super abilities to be able to help those. I've even heard like addiction counselors are usually former addicts.
Yep.
Because if you can't relate with who you're trying to help, how can you help them?
Facts.
You don't know what they're going through.
Exactly. Like, how can you? So
Yeah.
it definitely takes somebody to go through it to actually get it. And it when you actually have gone through something like that and you're helping somebody, you know how to talk to them in a certain way because you remember being that person and how some people who were uneducated about mental health, how they talk to you, which was not healthy for you at the time. You're like, okay, I don't want to be that person, so let me come from the heart space. Let me tap into, you know what I'm saying, that other realm.
Yeah, I remember experiencing people who just expected me to get it together, pull up your bootstraps, put on a smile.
Yeah.
And really what I just wanted was someone to hold space and to listen and to care, or maybe to give me a hug,
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that much.
No. But for someone who hasn't done the work, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That would be a lot. If they weren't given that same thing that they might have needed, it can be a lot. So this is part of the work. Me being able to talk like that took some work. Because I'm like, how can you be so cold, so shallow, so brush it off and, pray it away and it'll be okay? Like, it took a lot of shadow work for me to see things from their perspective, from different people's perspective who weren't healthy for me at that time when I needed them to be that person. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah. And hereditary, generational. I know I watched my mother struggle with it. I believe my grandma even talked about how she had struggled with depression. So I know that it can be generational, hereditary, and a lot of us are unpacking a lot of generational stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
But environment, watching adults cope with stressful situations, we learn how to cope with stressful situations by how we watch others do it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that can even be hard, is learning different coping mechanisms and strategies.
Mm-hmm. Coping skills,
yeah.
Tools. Yeah. And I actually learned my coping skills from the first time I was in the mental hospital. And I never heard of that. Coping skills, tools, what?
Right.
It
Stuff that should be taught in high school.
For real. Like, for real. School, period. Well, now in elementary, probably, because we, even the younger kids are going through stuff we never would have imagined. And it's like, what do y'all have to worry about? You're taken care of, you have food on the table, but that's not enough anymore.
Yeah. We need to know how to manage our emotions and what to do with them and how to respond to them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why not to always be all about yoga, but I love yoga because I feel like it really does help us to be more present with ourselves, and then we can start to understand the different frequencies of the different emotions. Okay, now I'm sitting in this, and how does that feel? And then disidentifying with it as well. Like, we can label it, but it doesn't mean it's who we are.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to fall into that trap of, oh, I'm just a sad, depressed person because that's how I'm feeling today. And then that becomes tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day. But if you can stop yourself and wait and say, wait a minute, that's not who I am, then it kind of prevents you from falling into that trap to carry over into the next day.
Yeah, it's the power of words. The power of words.
And what we believe and what we tell ourselves.
Literally casting spells on ourselves just by saying certain things, and our subconscious mind is believing it. So to be more educated about the essence of who we really are beyond just this human body is very important. Even as far as, that's working right into mental health. Because if we knew that emotions were energy in motion, that's why yoga is such a beautiful thing, because we're moving the emotions around and out instead of holding these energies inside of our bodies. We're moving it around, which is, yoga is medicine. It's holistic medicine, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and then the practice of meditation helps us learn how to master our mind instead of our mind mastering us. And I don't know about you, but my mind has thought up some crazy as things.
boy.
And my mind, if I let it control me, it'll take me right into like an illusion of crazy dark places. And I'm just like, whoa, and it's pulling that back and going, wait a minute,
Mhm.
I control this. You're a tool for me. Our
Yeah.
minds are not who we are either.
Facts.
And we should use it as a tool to benefit our life and master our mind instead of letting our minds master us. And I feel like that's kind of like there's a lot of people out there in the world that just are like, they're run by their just minds, they're not tapping into their heart or emotions and that can be a scary world.
I mean, yeah, but that goes back to knowing thyself. Like if we knew we are multidimensional beings, we are receptors, sponges. We receive information from everywhere. A lot of thoughts do not belong to us, and we get to choose which ones we want to accept and which ones we are like, nah, that is not me, bro. I don't know what that is. It's not just you. So it's I know it's hard sometimes not to take thoughts personally because it's like it's in my head. So where is it coming from? It's got to be me. But no, we are connected to each other. We're connected not to just us as people, but all life. All life. So it ain't no telling where things could come from. It could come from another frequency. A lot of times we may be there's a frequency manipulation. So it could come from electronics. It could come from anything. So knowing ourselves and knowing that we're so much more than just humans and we're receptors and we receive a lot of information, it puts the power back into us. Like, yo, all right, I got to do something about this. I don't identify with this. Once again, the words, we have power in these words. We get to say no to this thought, this feeling, and of course it's important to acknowledge feelings if it's real, if it's you.
Right.
But
that's part of the shadow work.
Right, exactly.
And where is this coming from? Get to the root cause. Because even in the mind, like sometimes we'll have what I like to tell people in my classes and stuff, the inner judge. And usually the inner judge in there, it was a parent. It was the parent that told you, oh, well, you shouldn't do that and you should do this. And why do you do that? It's like a parent voice that we heard growing up as a child, and that came from their own stuff that they needed to work through, but it was projected onto us. And so now we have this, and you have to learn to recognize the inner judge and go, hey, I love you, but you're not here to run this show.
Exactly.
It's work.
It is work. But you know what? After a while, it's not.
It gets easier.
It does get easier. And it's not going to always be as easy because we're constantly evolving. So on this school of Earth, this Earth school, we're going to have challenges. But it's sharpening our skills per se.
Yeah.
It's sharpening our skills. And along this journey, I've learned that the mental health, the depression and anxiety and things like that is so much more than just mental health, mental disability.
Trauma.
Yeah, it's more than trauma. We can turn these things into superpowers.
Yeah, okay, I see where you're going with this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so much more than that. And as business people, you can benefit off of this, as far as using medicine and stuff like that. But once you really do the work, you're doing the yoga, you're doing the therapy, if that's what you do, you're doing the meditation, you become friends almost with the shadows, with the anxiety, because we're learning that it's so much more than mental. It's an experience. It's our souls having an experience with the human body. It's an alert. It's a message. All of these things are messages. I almost said diabetes, Lord. Depression and anxiety are messages. It's not something that has to be a bad thing. It's a message.
Right.
Well,
like ADHD. I can't get behind that label whatsoever. I think that what we're seeing is children wanting to be children. And so people, the adults, want to put these children in boxes and make them sit down at desks all day. And so they're like, oh, let's label that, them being a kid, and let's put them on medicine so that they'll sit down and be a zombie and sit at a desk all day. And I'm like, no, these kids are actually, this is a gift. And they're trying, the kids are trying to teach the teachers. The kids are trying to teach the adults, hey, your system doesn't work and it's messed up. And your system is what needs to change, not our fucking kids. I'm sorry, but it just gets
No,
me
that's
so
real.
like, "Rawr."
I mean, but think about what the school system is for in the first place. It was not created for us to get to know ourselves. So,
right, it wasn't. It was to create little worker bees. Worker bees.
exactly. Sorry, not funny, but funny.
But when you do become aware of the system and what it's doing, and that's a lot of the reason the mental health, which this is a good topic, and I'm so glad we're talking about it because more and more people are going to wake up to what has been taking place. And for those of us that are like, okay, we've already known and we're trying to move on, how can we hold space for them? Because dark nights of the soul are a real thing. When I became aware of human trafficking, I went down into a deep, dark little rabbit hole place that it hurt my heart, it hurt my soul. And I couldn't believe that there was actually humans on this planet doing such atrocious things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so these people that are going to be facing some of this, maybe we can talk about like yoga, therapy. You know, how can you step away from that system because it's a business and take your power back, be sovereign and say, you know what, it ends here. I'm going to be responsible for my own mental health. And these are the things that have been proven scientifically to help and work. You know, diet changes. Sorry, I'm just all worked out.
No, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. We love it. Oh my God. Yeah. The work, the work. Going into shadow is that's a part of the mental health experience. And it makes me glad in a sense. And I hope this makes sense, but it makes me glad that we're awakening more and more to mental health in the shadows and negative feelings and stuff like that. All of this negativity, all of this darkness that's in the world.
We're bringing light to it.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, it sounds crazy for some that, you know, for me to say, I'm glad all of this darkness is coming up. It's been hidden for so long.
Right.
And so as long as it's hidden, it's going to continue.
And still feed our energy.
Yeah. Unknowingly feeding our energy. Yeah, because we're connected.
Right.
And that's, you know, everything is coming to the light. The veil is finally lifted. And
you can't heal something until you finally look at it. I think it's the first step in AA is admission or recognizing I have a problem. You know, you can't fix anything if you don't shine the light on it.
That's
if you don't face it.
Yeah.
If you don't look at it.
Yeah. Or if you keep running from it. It's easy to run. I run, you know, we both have.
Yeah.
We both have. Like, you keep running and it's chasing you.
It's going to come back.
It's chasing you as soon as you stop to catch your breath. Like, whoo, I'm tired of this trauma. You turn around and it's, oh my God, here it is again. Yeah, because it wants you to look at it.
Well, let's talk about how some people dip into drinking, drugs, you know, things to numb it or put it off. And I tell people, I'm like, yeah, you're putting it off, but it's still going to be there tomorrow. You know, it's still going to be there.
When you sober up, it's there.
Right. And sometimes you created this bigger situation because of the choices you're making. So now you're just making it worse. You know, it's so frustrating.
The vortex is going down, not up.
Right.
I've done that. Well, we all had our stories of that, making things worse. Making things worse. And I guess a lot of times it takes, as humans, it takes for us to go through things repetitively before we, you know, stop. And we have to get tired. You have to get tired of the drugs.
Bullshit.
Yeah. That's where I was like, I'm tired of running around in circles. Especially when the weed doesn't work anymore, the alcohol doesn't work anymore, whatever the thing is that we run to. Once it stops working and you just want to numb yourself, and even the things that you use to numb yourself don't even work anymore, all you feel is pain, that's when it's time.
Yeah.
It's time. It's asking you to face it. even if we don't want to. The best things to do are the things that we don't want to do. And it's freedom through that thing. It's scary to heal. Well, when you first start healing and facing it, it's scary, especially when you're used to feeling a certain way, when you're used to being depressed. And you know what I'm saying? It's the comfort zone for some. You know, trauma is a comfort zone, and they get attention. And I'm speaking from experience too. You get attention when you're in this trauma space, and people are used to that. So stepping out of that into your own power, oh no, nobody's gonna like me anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's a mental thing, it's a programming, and it's lies. It's lies.
Well, it's externally seeking. So when you have like, you know, they created support groups with good intentions, but people then started identifying as, oh, well, it was me, this is who I am, and they got comfortable in sharing their story, and then they like the attention and the relationships, trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is a real thing.
That's a trap.
The relationships you make out of your trauma and things like that. And so, yeah, then to step in their own power, and you know, it's uncomfortable, and back to the externally seeking. When you're seeking the validation or the love and care and nurturing from all these people outside of you, it takes work to go, I'm going to start seeking that from myself. But that's where the true healing is. When you become your own nurturer, your own cheerleader, your own power source, sourcing from within, loving and validating yourself. That's the wow.
Yeah.
Oh, watch out.
Yeah. It can be scary, especially if you never experienced what it looks like to love yourself. If you never, you know what I'm saying? If nobody's ever loved you in the way that you needed to be loved. So it's like, what does that even look like? You know?
It can look like however you want it to look.
That's the fun part. See?
It is the fun part.
Yes, you get to flip the story just like you flipped it. You know, it was a sad story. And I talked about this one time in one of my stories or something. You get to change the story. We're the storytellers. Yeah. So you can tell the sad story with the violin. And then you have a bright light over here. It's like, guess what we get to do? We get to change the story.
Yeah. We're creators.
Yes. So that's why it's important to have people who can shed that light. You know.
I try to be a truth panda. Sometimes it doesn't always work out in my favor.
You said a what panda?
A truth panda.
A truth panda. Oh yeah. No.
I gotta show up with the truth. Because I love the truth. I love the truth. It's just like a journey that I'll probably be on all my life. I'm always going to seek it. But like sometimes when you speak it, some people don't like it. But I got to keep speaking it, whether people like it or not.
Because that's the medicine.
Yeah.
That's the medicine we feel. We ain't always going to like the truth, and the truth changes. Not in a sense of this truth will change. I'm saying like everybody has their own truth. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has this truth, and that's what they believe in. Unless you're an open, you know what I'm saying, an open and, you know, versatile, balanced person or whatever. Anyway, you know, sometimes like we go through life, we experience certain things, and we are introduced to somebody who challenges our truth. That's what I mean by the truth changes, because it's like at one point I thought that this was this until I met this person. Now I don't know.
I've been adding and it's subject to change.
I've been
adding it, and it's subject to
change.
It
is subject to change. Always.
This is what we're doing now, and this is page we're on, but it's subject to change.
Yeah. I mean, because that's life. That's nature.
Nothing stays the same.
Ever.
So you have to learn how to flow with it and roll with the punches.
For real. And that, like, doing the work, the inner work that we're afraid to do, once we do it, it becomes, once again, a superpower, especially when dealing with things that are unexpected, surprises, darkness that arises. Once we do the work, we're like, aha, but I know how to deal with this. And going inside is what's going to maybe not change the world instantly. However, it changes my reaction. It changes my energy. It changes my frequency. And so my frequency is what changes the whole environment,
Right.
depending on which environment it
You can
is.
change the external by changing the internal.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I've
Absolutely.
witnessed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I never thought I'd be here saying none of this stuff. I thought I was gonna stay in the trauma bonding and in my head and in my emotions forever. I used to think that because I didn't see a way out.
I know when you're going through it, it is hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It really is. But and so that's why I try to tell people, I'm like, hey, if I would have taken my life, I wouldn't have met the people I've met. I wouldn't have had the experiences and the adventures. You know, there's so much more that you haven't even experienced. Even if you have to just hang on and wrap yourself up in a blanket today, do that. And I'll see you tomorrow. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
that's powerful. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. So you say, I love how you say it, it's superpower.
Yeah.
Like anxiety. You know, people are like, oh, I'm always so anxious. No, honey, what you need to do is listen to your energy because you're feeling that way for a reason. Why are you feeling that way? We need to start asking ourselves these questions, and people don't take the time to want to know themselves on that kind of level, but that's what I try to encourage. So, okay, are you anxious because you're in a job that you hate? Are you feeling anxious around certain people that maybe just aren't good for you anymore? You know, are you, you know, but it's like, oh, nope, I have anxiety, just give me a pill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That microwave mentality. Like, but then what? Are we always gonna depend on a pill? We are the pill. We're the pill. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God. Woo.
Well, and they're messengers. These emotions, these feelings, these things, they're messengers to let you know. It's like your soul is speaking to you. Hey, honey, you need to make these changes. And you're like, hey, honey, it's time for you to go in a new direction. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh no, we've gotten so comfortable in this environment. We have to cling and hang on to it, no matter the cost, even our own health. You know what I mean?
It's the conditioning. And nobody can change that. Nobody can fix that, but we ourselves. So if you want to find a new way, and once again, you have to get tired of being numb with pills. You have to get tired of taking pills, and now you have to take another pill. And knowing thyself helps, because that helped me. I started tapping into what the pills were doing for me. Not just mentally, not just numbing me, but making me sick. If I work too hard, I would get sick. And it's taken the essence of who I am away from me. Right. You know what I'm saying? I like to move around. I like to sweat. As soon as I start sweating, you mean to tell me I'm going to get sick because of this pill I'm taking? No thanks. Yeah. No thanks. And then, you have to do this certain thing, and we're not realizing what it's doing to our kidneys. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Our liver. Yeah, especially the liver, And one thing I also learned while I was in the mental hospital is once you stop taking them, it can do something, it does chemical things to your brain. It causes suicide. You know what I'm saying? Which is defeating the purpose. So we got to know ourselves enough to know what the pills are doing. And I'm not saying if you need that, I'm not saying no take the pills, but becoming aware of ourselves more and more helps so much because we realize what is doing, what's working and what's not working, advocating for ourselves, because sometimes in therapy they will push the pill. And you have to be aware of yourself to know, do I really need this? What can I do outside of taking this artificial medicine? What can I do for myself? You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking the pill. And I know it takes time. Sometimes it takes time, and it takes a little more work without the pill. But once we tap into it, it becomes an instant thing. It works faster than a pill. Yeah. It works faster than a pill.
Right. Doing the work on yourself or dealing with the long-term side effects of that pill. That's what people aren't really saying. They're just like, no, this in the moment, this is what I want. It's a quick fix. But okay, that pill causes this. So now you got to take a medication for that.
Mhm.
And you walk in there, just for one little quick fix and you come out with, 10 medicines 5 months later because that one wasn't doing this or that was causing this. And it's like a whole business scheme to take you down and get you stuck in this trap.
Mhm.
Now it's very controversial. I've argued, some people are like, hey, this person needed a medicine at that time because they were suicidal, and I would rather them take the medicine than take their life. And by means, I'm not here to say what's good for you. Everyone has to make their own decision what's
Right.
best for them.
Right.
I'm only here to say you at least look at all your options
Yeah.
and all the facts and don't fall because they are vulnerable in that position.
Yes.
And if you can have, if you can advocate for someone in your life, if they're feeling vulnerable and they're quick to maybe just say, hey, just so you know, this and this and this, so that they can make an educated decision at least, and not
Mhm.
just a vulnerable, ignorant one.
Mhm.
And if it's something you need to do for the next 3 months to make yourself feel better, sure, but have an end goal in
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
and say, okay, this is only going to be temporary, and I'm going to start to find these other avenues to take care of me. Don't just, because then I've seen people go on it and then they're on it for years and years and years, and then okay, now I'm trying to go off of it, and it's a mess trying to get off of something that you've been on for 10 years.
The body is addicted to it. Yeah.
I remember just being like, gosh, I wasn't even 16. I was probably like 14.
Mhm.
And I was having stomach issues.
Mm.
And I feel like a lot of it was anxiety. And looking back now, I can say, oh, well, it was you were absorbing your mother's stuff and, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But they were like, Zoloft. I'm having stomach issues and you want to put me on an antidepressant? What? It was just so confusing, and how quickly, even just a family doctor, they didn't even send me to a psychiatrist or what, so it's just like, it's crazy the amount that, and I even worked for a psychiatric place for a while, and I watched a specific doctor over medicate all of their patients. And I just thought, I can't believe this is going on.
Yeah.
Just witnessing some of the stuff I've witnessed over the years. I'm just like, it's a business. And it was children she was medicating. And
I used to work at a facility like that too.
And I was just watching things and I was like, wow, I can't believe
It's a business.
Yeah.
But imagine if we took our power back.
Yeah.
Imagine if you took the power back. It.
Honey, let's get to why you're feeling this way.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Do you want to know?
Right.
Because if you do, then we're at the end of the day, we're always accountable of our own shit. But a lot of times it's easier, and I'm speaking personally because I had to do the shadow work. But before I did the shadow work, I saw how easy it was to put it on mental health. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that in a way that's downsizing mental health, because that is a very real experience. But there are people who will use that as an excuse. Mm-hmm. And at some point, especially when it comes to manipulating people, that is a dangerous game to play. I'm not saying I did this, but I've observed this, and I've been, I won't say a victim, but people have done that to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You put the mental health word on the reason why you treat people a certain way. Mm-hmm. And we're coming into a time where people are so aware of themselves, they know that is no longer an excuse. Right.
Yeah, I think manipulation is going to be so easy for people to see. People aren't going to be able to manipulate anymore. So they're not going to get away with it. So
not at all, because like more and more, which is a beautiful thing. I'm starting to see that there are more people who are taking care of themselves. They're doing what they got to do, which leaves no space for nobody to be like, oh, what was me? Nah, bro, I'm gonna help you out. And if you still have an excuse after I say I'm gonna help you out, or after you have this great community or whoever that's got your back, and you still say no because it's gonna fall on you, and that's a hard truth for all of us.
Mhm.
You have to say, okay, it's me.
Yeah.
We've all had that moment. All right, it's me.
Right. Own your shit. Own your shit.
Yeah.
I oh man, what was it? Come on, brain. We were talking about take your power back, own your shit.
Accountability. Take back your power.
Huh. I don't know. Must not have been that important.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just we're coming into that time where we're taking our power back, and that's what I was saying. It's a beautiful thing that we are coming back into that, into that wanting, you know what I'm saying, into that willingness. Like I see it a lot on Facebook, and Instagram, where people are doing more things to take care of themselves.
And people are really loving themselves.
Yes.
That's why I get perturbed when people like judge you for loving yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm like, hey, you know how hard it is to love yourself in this world?
Okay.
You need to back off and go love yourself over there.
Period.
I think what I was going to say earlier is another controversial subject I've gotten into it with people before is they'll tell me, well, there's a brain chemical imbalance. Okay. Then there's fish oils, there's supplements, there's vitamins, there's nuts, there's nutrition, there's different things that you can change your biofeedback, your biochemistry, to put it in more of a homeostasis balanced state, to get you thinking clearer, And a lot of it, I love that we were talking about self-love, because I think mental health is a byproduct of how much we're loving ourselves. Just like addiction is a byproduct of how much we're loving ourselves or lack of, right? And so I feel like a lot of it comes from not loving and knowing thyself. So the more you know yourself, the more that you love yourself, the clearer you're going to think, the healthier you're going to be, the higher your frequency. You're not going to need no drugs or alcohol, because you don't need those things. You don't, so love, it seems like a self-love deficit, and we have like a pandemic of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a real pandemic.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? And the chemical imbalance thing, that's what they told me. The diagnosis, the bipolar, PTSD. This is a collective experience, honestly. And with the ego, we take it personally. Oh, it's just me because of trauma, blah blah blah. Everybody got some kind of trauma, otherwise we wouldn't be on this earth. So we all got some stuff to work with. Nobody is on their own. If you're struggling with anything, you are not by yourself. Do not let the ego tell you that you're by yourself. Because you're not. And that is a trick. That's one of the tricks that, of course, I fell into as well,
Yeah.
Thinking you're by yourself, nobody understands.
Or you don't want to bother anybody. Like I've been there where I'm like, I don't want to bother anybody, with my problems.
I know I've done that often, and I still do. I ain't gonna lie, I still do. Like, I don't want to bother nobody. I'm gonna deal with this.
Yeah. Well, you do get to a point where you know how to do it yourself.
Well,
you don't really need anybody, you know.
Yeah. See, eventually
it takes time to work together.
But you get there, and even then, it's not like we're always like the it's not like the point is to get to where you don't need anybody, because we're always going to need each other, but we have to get to a point where we're not handicapped,
right?
Giving our power to somebody else, like, and taking on these titles like, yeah, I am bipolar, I am anxious. No, you are not. You're having a bipolar experience. You're having an anxious moment, a depressive moment, which is temporary. It makes it a temporary thing. Like, doctors have told me I will be bipolar for the rest of my life. And if I took these medicines, which I was taking, I wouldn't be able to have kids. because of the medicine. Like all of these conditioned, these boxed in realities that they gave me, and I spit it back out at them like, no, that's not true. We have to take our power back. Otherwise, we will continue to lean on these temporary realities that they call permanent. Like, nah, bro.
Well, going back to all the labels, like
Mm.
that is such a fragmented way of thinking, and it splits your psyche into all these different boxes, instead of being more universal within your mind and labels, labels, labels. It creates more separation, more division, just like Christianity versus Buddhism, paganism versus Catholicism, or race, like
Yeah.
it's any kind of label. That's what it's there to do, is
Yeah.
to separate.
Yeah. It's already like, granted, the ego is there to differentiate like what's what as far as identity, but we're going into a place of oneness where all is one, which is the truth, which is the truth that they wanted to take away from us. It's too much division. First I have to identify with who I am as a mental patient. Then as a woman or a man, and when we think about masculine and feminine energy, and some are more masculine than feminine, now I have to put myself in a box. So now I'm overhuman or underhuman because I'm more of the masculine than you know what I'm saying? So now I'm more feminine than masculine. So now I get, and then I'm more black, or I'm more white than black, but I'm really black. Like, it's so much chaos and separation. When the truth is, behind all of that, who are you?
That fragmentation in the mind causes mental health. It causes you to like break yourself apart in all these pieces, when you should be focused on how can I become whole.
Say that. That's it.
Instead of a bunch of little pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, individually, we're already a piece of a whole. So, and I won't even say whole. We're already whole, whole pieces of a whole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a collective,
Exactly.
Nobody is a particle of anything. Nobody is less than anything. We're all whole, and that's a part of the self-care, self-love thing. If we all looked at each other as, I'm already whole, it feels, that love feels in those broken spaces where we thought we were broken, and we may be broken. However, that's a temporary situation. And there's glue. It's called love.
Yeah.
That puts it back together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's real. Yeah. I'm full. I love it. I love talking about mental health. I can talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's mixed in with the energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah.
Well, and I know I said this before. I'm not sure if I said this on here, but that's what changed my life. Made me think of mental health in a totally different way, and it helped me manipulate the lies of what anxiety is and what depression is, and even going to the classes that I took, like at the first mental health, or the first mental facility, and the second, just realizing, like, with depression, with anxiety, you do the opposite of what you feel in order to counterbalance what's going on, but you have to want to. So if I'm anxious, if I'm breathing fast, if I'm pacing, I do the opposite. I think the opposite. What is calm? You breathe. To calm the mind, calm the body, back into balance. If I'm depressed, self-love, self-care. The body needs something.
Some sunshine.
Yeah. You have to do the balance, or do the opposite. If you're isolating yourself, go be around somebody you really love.
Yeah.
And it changes.
Yeah.
And you feel better. But it's all about the frequency and vibrations and balancing the things out. And that's all mental, that's the mind part of it. But it works because it's mental.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I had a moment.
I like it. That's good. Yeah. So how are we doing on time? Hey, we did pretty good. For not knowing what we're going to talk about. This is why we work so well together, because we can talk about these things. Like
Everything. Anything, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe before we go, let's talk about some things. If you're struggling at home, yoga. There's YouTube videos. You can do yoga for free. It's really good for the mind, body, spirit. Meditation. Meditation at first, you are like, whoa, I can't meditate. This is hard. I can't quiet my mind. What? It's you becoming aware of how busy the mind really is and how much goes on in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of. You're starting to become aware of what you're telling yourself in your mind, the dialogue, the narrative, journaling, writing some of those things down that you noticed are coming into your thoughts and in your mind that you never really sat down and listened to before. Those are things that are needing your attention. Journaling out your feelings and how you feel sometimes is helpful. Music can be so healing. Singing, drumming, dancing, just listening to uplift, and pay attention to what music you're listening to. I will say that, like, if you're listening to like, oh, I fucking hate myself, that's what you're telling your body. That's what you're telling your mind. Like being aware of what you're listening to. The people that you surround yourself, are they building you up or are they tearing you down? Are they constantly judging you and telling you like, really, you're gonna wear that with that? No, put those people to rest out of your life, Okay, so environment, yoga, meditation, nutrition. Look at some of the things that you're eating. Some foods can really cause us to think foggy and to, I've done food cleanses before and then I've cheated and I've noticed the difference. I'm like, wow, Subway makes me feel emotional. Like, so food,
nature,
support system, nature. Oh my gosh, put your bare feet in the earth and sun gaze. If you're not doing that, do that immediately.
Even if well, in these temperatures where it's cold outside, you can still go out in nature. Go for a walk. Even going for a walk will help. And we underestimate because we're uneducated about the magic, quote unquote, that happens even if you touch a plant or touch an animal.
Tree.
Yes. Yeah. Like just breathing in the air around the tree does something to our bodies because once again, we are multidimensional beings, not just human. So we are nature.
We are.
So going out in nature, that's like
connecting with
exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful medicine. Breathing, intentional breathing is medicine.
Pay attention to it. When you become aware of your breath, you start to notice, wow, I've been holding my breath. Or wow, I'm really breathing shallowly through my chest. Get that breath all the way down into the belly. Deep breathing, conscious breathing. Count your breaths. Let's see, support system, finding those people that do empower or encourage you. If you don't have a support system, if everyone around you is negative, reach out to new communities, find things that you're interested in, and then go find those people that are interested in those things. Like if you want to paint, go to an art class and put yourself out there and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, what's your name? Like make friends with people that are of your like-mindedness or like to do the things you do. Dancing is very therapeutic. It also helps moving trauma out of the body. Quantum realm is always a place you can go to and seek answers and activities and people to help change your life. Yeah.
I do that a lot. Sing and dance. And I talk to myself a lot. Talking to yourself is not a bad thing. Now, there are mental, psychiatrists or therapists that will ask you, do you talk to yourself? Do you hear voices that are not there? They will ask you this for real because I've been through this before. So be careful with that. But talking to yourself is a healthy thing because you're sending affirmations to yourself.
Mhm.
You're sending love to yourself. Talk to yourself.
Mhm.
Laughing at yourself. So depending on how you're laughing, because if you're making fun of yourself, that's not healthy because the mind and the body knows when you're joking or not. So I'm not saying making fun of yourself, but laugh it off. Like, we beat ourselves down.
Yeah, you're a human.
Yeah.
And it's okay to mess up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Treat yourself like you would a child. Be kind and patient and silly. And or talk to yourself sometimes like that mother that you never had
Mm-hmm.
to nurture you, or to be like, it's okay, honey, you're gonna get through this, or talk to yourself like that father you never had. You have to be your number one advocate, your number one cheerleader sometimes, and be what you needed.
Mm-hmm.
Affirmations. I have things on my bathroom mirror
Same.
that I'm brushing my teeth and I'm saying them every day.
Yep.
Same. Programming that neural network how I want it to think for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So reprogram. Forgiveness is another really good one.
Yes. Forgiveness.
Let go of hanging on to old things and burdens. I always say that it's like that saying. It's a quote
or something like that.
Drinking the poison, but expecting someone else to feel the poison.
To die or something.
Like anger or resentment is like you're drinking the poison, but you're expecting the other person to get sick.
Yeah.
You're like, but really what that you're trying to project out there is what you're putting inside your body. That chemicals that your brain is releasing are these chemicals to create more anger, resentment, bitterness, and just disease in your system.
Yeah, I think that can be really tricky. We think like if we cuss somebody out or we push this anger on somebody and tell them how we feel. Yes, telling people how we feel is important. However, if you're pushing the anger on them, if you're talking bad about them, it's a reflection of us, and it's going to fall back on us. Like you're gonna feel that in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and your word is your wand.
Word is the wand.
Things that you say. Your body's listening. So if you keep saying, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm unhappy, I hate my life, I hate myself, all of these things, your body is listening. Mm-hmm. Your body's going to respond by feeling like, and you're going to just keep feeling that way. So start, creating and talking as if what you want is already here, because you start to create with your word. Like,
that's facts.
I'm joyful.
Yeah. Be what is it called? Be something with your word. Be one of the 4 agreements.
Oh,
shoot, it's a word. But
I'm gonna think of it.
Not immaculate with your word. Be
impeccable.
Impeccable with your word. Now, if you're looking for a good book to help you with your mental health and finding balance, the 4 agreements.
And we have many copies here for sale.
Yes.
Here at the Quantum Realm.
Yes.
It's a book I think all high schoolers should read. I think everyone needs it.
Everybody. Because I got a copy at home, and everybody should read that one. Oh, yeah. Because we all need reminders. Oh, yeah.
And it's short and small. So if you don't like to read, it was made perfectly for you because it's a small little book. It's an easy to understand read.
Mm-hmm. I mean, from beginning to end, it's like stuck. You stuck on it like, whoa, what?
It will help you undo and unpack some stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
And give you the 4 agreements to walk by, and just walking in those can really make a big difference in your life,
You become conscious, mindful of the 4 agreements, and you realize that everything that we've ever experienced in our lives has been some kind of agreement that we made with ourselves or with other people, and you can absolutely cut the agreement. You can break the agreement at any time and create a new one.
Yep. I love that book. Yeah, there's a little story in that book. It talks about how this little girl like something about her mom told her she couldn't sing or something like that. So she always had voice issues and she was afraid to sing. But once she realized that that wasn't truth, it was
Mhm.
just an agreement she had made because she believed something somebody else said.
Yep.
And then she ended up with a beautiful voice. You know, like
Yep.
it's just amazing how we create our reality based off of other people's beliefs and stories. And a lot of people, you know, the people we grew up under,
Mhm.
you know, like they passed on their beliefs, their limitations, their traumas, and then we believed it to be real. So then it created our reality. Oh, well, you can undo that. Oh, wow. Like that book is, yeah.
Literally. So I can disagree, and just like that, yes, just like that. So now that you disagree, it's a clean slate. It's a clean slate, and you get to make a new agreement to yourself.
It opens up so many possibilities.
What? It changes the story.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, okay. I think we did good.
I guess we can end it here. I'm just playing.
I
Yeah.
love it.
It's tough.
I love it.
I know. But y'all can always come back to this.
Yeah, we have lots more to talk about. So make sure you stay tuned
Yes.
and tune into the next conscious conversation.
Yeah. It's been real. Thank you so much.
I'm Leica,
And I'm T.
and this is Conscious Conversations.
Peace.